Kamala's very powerful 38-minute acceptance speech contained more substance, exuded more patriotism, and showed more competency than all of Trump thin-skinned speeches combined.
Kamala Harris' speech at the Democratic National Convention is sparking a lot of reaction. There are people reacting to her speech and as well other people who spoke at the convention. He as well talked about her stance on the Palestine and Israel situation that is going on, which we know is one of the main topics that has been causing a lot of disagreement between people online for the past few weeks, or let me just say since the minute she was announced as the new running candidate for the presidential election. This has sparked a lot of conversation. There are some people saying their hope has been renewed and they are going to vote for her. And there are some people as well having a lot to say on the other hand. There are some people saying she didn't say much and that is still not convincing them to vote for her. And there are some people coming at her at the way she spoke about the Palestine-Israel situation. I have put together all of these things that people are saying and all of this reaction from her speech that people are getting off of their chest. So without wasting much time, let's just get right into it.
Okay, let's get this out the way, right? In regards to her speech, when she got to talking about Israel and Palestine, boy, when I tell you she had me in the first half. She still criticized Israel for how they're doing the people of Gaza by acknowledging that innocent civilians are suffering. She said it without saying it. Because let's be so for real right now. If she called out Israel by name, if she acknowledged that this was a genocide on that stage, she would more than likely have lost the Democratic Party. And the Republicans will be screaming anti-Semitic left and right. It should be common knowledge by now that our U.S. government, regardless of the president in office, is staying allies with Israel. And based off of this speech, Kamala's official stance is neutral, upholding the allyship with Israel while also calling for a ceasefire. And a neutral pursuit for peace is way better than somebody saying they would help Israel finish the job.
Kamala's very powerful 38-minute acceptance speech contained more substance, exuded more patriotism, and showed more competency than all of Trump thin-skinned speeches combined. Speeches where he often talks for 90 minutes. 90 minutes of the ravings of a madman who is not tethered to reality. A madman who shows time and time again that he should never have a position of power in the United States of America again. That he should not be allowed anywhere near the White House. He shouldn't be allowed near an outhouse to change the toilet paper. He is extremely dangerous, and Kamala Harris, she's a steady hand. She respects the rule of law. She upheld it. That was kind of her thing. She represents the people. As she mentioned, she spent a lot of her life standing before a judge saying this: Kamala Harris, for the people. Trumpty Dumpty, he's not for the people. He never has been. Trumpty Dumpty is for himself. I forget who said it during the DNC this week, but the next time you hear him speak, don't count the lies, count the eyes, because that's all he's about. And that will never, never make America great.
So this morning I woke up and the first thing that I did, like every day this week, was go and watch the speeches of the convention, and oh my God, Kamala Harris's speech, Dios mío. So the thing that she said that really hit me was this: on behalf of everyone whose story could only be written in the greatest country on earth. Because I feel like I have that story. I joined the Marine Corps when I was 18. I was enlisted, I was a private, I was like a nobody. Driving trucks, taking out garbage. Like I literally, my truck was a garbage truck at some point, and became an officer, retired as a lieutenant colonel. And there was only 17 Latinas 17 Latina lieutenant colonels in the whole Marine Corps, reserve and active, the year that I got promoted. And it makes me think of like different moments that I've had in my career where I've been the only woman, the only brown person, the only brown person and a woman. And that happened a lot. And it made me think of specifically this one time I got promoted to major, and I was working at NATO as a civil servant, and I was a Marine reservist at the time as a major. And we had a black 3-star general that worked at NATO, Marine, and I asked him, hey, do you mind doing my promotion ceremony at my office? And most of the people in my office, even though it was NATO, there were civilians. There were some people that were former military, but most of them were civilian engineers because I worked in an aircraft program. And afterward, this coworker of mine who is Belgian but of Italian immigrant parents, and for those, that's a whole different story. But they had their time, their rough time too, in the 50s and 60s when they came here. And he was like, Jessica, that was so moving because this would never happen here in Belgium. And that's something that living abroad, and I talk to a lot of folks of immigrant backgrounds, and I know that a lot of people talk about, a lot of Americans, though of color, they'll move abroad and they're like, oh, it's so much better here and blah, blah, blah. Yes, because you're American and you come here and people hear your accent and you get treated a certain way. But when you talk to immigrants, especially those black and brown ones, and even folks that come from Eastern Europe, and they come to Western Europe, and there's so much more. Like, you think we have stuff that we overcome in the United States? It is 10 times worse here, because the generational power is real. So it just seeing her there in that podium and that speech and knowing her story that is so similar to mine. My parents came to Puerto Rico in the 50s, didn't speak English. My dad is a black Puerto Rican, didn't speak English, made a life for himself, worked for the city, had his own business, retired from as a city worker. My mom went on to work at the Urban League, work at a nursing home, be president of her union at work. And it just shows you how, as much as people try to deny it, that the American dream is still there. And I'm so proud of that moment. I'm so proud of us coming together and also reclaiming that feeling of being American, because there's many ways that you can feel American, and for me is that you can come from anywhere and work hard and get somewhere. So yeah, feeling super proud and all mushy and stuff. So just wanted to share that with the 200 people that are going to see this. So bye.
Been MIA for a couple of days. I wanted to let the DNC kind of settle and get my thoughts together about it. I'm not one of those live political people that was gonna watch it live with you guys, or just like live tweet or live TikTok my thoughts about every day that was happening. But I of course was watching it. I was watching the clips, I was watching the big moments, and I kind of wanted to let that settle and marinate in my brain before I came on here to say my final thoughts about all of this. But before I get into any direct thoughts about the DNC, any thoughts about Kamala Harris's speech, I just want to draw attention again to help save baby Judy. I've been posting about baby Judy and her family, and I just want to say that they still need money to reach their goal. They still need money for water, clean water, medication, and food. So if you have any extra money, please consider hitting that link in my bio and going to their GoFundMe and donating a little bit to help save and help allow this family to survive and have access to their basic needs. Also, as I've said, there is also a live Google Doc that is in the link in my bio as well, called Humanitarian Aid for Congo, Sudan, as well as Palestine, different organizations. So if you're interested and have any extra money as well, please sprinkle that on maybe some of the organizations in my bio as well. Mwah. Let's get into my thoughts. Okay, so I feel like I've been making the same version of the same video ever since Kamala took over the Democratic ticket. As I said, when people were hounding me for my opinion then, I basically said, when I see Kamala versus Trump, what I feel like you guys are asking me is if you want it fast or slow. That's really it. As a lot of my mutuals have been saying, we've been kind of set on a path. We are a collapsing empire, and if you pay attention to just in general geopolitics and how certain countries are moving right now, it is very, very obvious that a play is being made. I've also talked about how we shouldn't deify our politicians because it allows for a space of people not being able to critique people who are public servants and not above critique. And that creates an environment that just kind of allows people to blindly vote without being educated voters, which I hate. I feel like those 2 points have been successfully hammered home in multiple videos, but what I really want to center in this video is the deep understanding that if you live in some sort of Western leading society, somewhere considered the first world or a developed country, um, your status quo, your normal, kills people. And when I say kills people, I'm not saying like, oh, it just makes other people's lives in the global south harder. No, what I mean is actually body counts, like actual massive, massive body counts for a lot of the things that you take for granted. This brings me to the term mercantilism. I still can't get that pronunciation correctly. But if you Google it, this is one of those, old timey political cartoons. As you can see, there's the mother country who's kind of a thicker, gluttonous kind of bitch. Then you have the three maids, and they're all holding some sort of raw material that they're presenting to the mother country. Mercantilism is this economic theory that's based in all resources being finite, and that in order to, enrich yourself as a, superpower, you need to have access to all of those finite resources for yourself in order to enrich yourself. And so, this is kind of the baseline for colonization. And this is basically the setup that things have kind of still remained to this day. This idea that we are deserving of other countries' natural resources that would enrich themselves, whether it's oil, whether it's gold, whether it's coltan, whether it's, all the things that, those little children are mining in the Congo for our phones. This idea that the people there, the resources there, are for Western nations to use for their own enrichment. And not a lot has changed, just what we call it has changed, And I just want to make that clear, because when you wipe your ass, when you go to the grocery store, when you are able to sit in an AC field home for hours on end, for me, me even talking into this particular cell phone, all of these things that we think are normal or given or just natural for our way of being have a body count attached to it in the global south. And it's been kind of disheartening to see how quickly those sentiments that I thought were kind of understood during the past 10, 11 months have been abandoned for this. I will never forget, I was in my AP environmental science class in high school, and my teacher was like, yeah, we have resources. We have enough food to feed everybody. We have enough resources to make sure everyone is safe and sound, have access to clean water, have access to food, things they need to survive in the entire world. It's not a resource problem. It's a distribution problem. At that point in and of itself fucked my head up, because it's like, oh, people don't have to starve. These charities talking about hungry children, trying to raise money for getting clean water in Africa, it just doesn't have to be that way. It just is that way because Western nations never got out of this idea that they are owed what the resources that these other countries have, and the ways in which we enact our power in order to make sure that we have a monopoly on those resources so that we can have comforts that these people have never had. So when people are clocking, black people, liberals in general, for the privileges that they have, though they may be marginalized in a country like America, your normalcy is based on the literal backs and bodies of people that you don't think to really care about unless it goes with what your narrative is. Status quo is killing people. It just is. It just is. It just is. No matter how marginalized you are, if you are in a Western nation, the foundation of your nation is built on the backs of these individuals in the global South, and it would just behoove everybody to realize that sooner rather than later. That is really all I have to say about this entire situation. Build community, meet your neighbors, learn how to grow something, learn how to sew, learn how to make your own kombucha, something, because this ship is going down, baby. In conclusion, all I have to say is go to the link in the bio, try and donate what you can to help save baby Judy and her family for sure. Link in the bio for the podcast, link in the bio for my YouTube channel, link in the bio for all of my links in general. Yeah, Black Lives Matter, free Palestine till it's backwards always.
What do you guys think about what the host said? There are so many people on the side that they feel so much hope after listening to that speech. Like they now have so much hope and they want to get out of their bed and go vote. And there are some saying the speech she gave is better than, hundreds of speech that Trump has been given. Let me hear what you guys think about that. People are so big on the, taking away of women's rights from these other people. And it's one of the biggest conversations as well that people are having aside from the conversation of Palestine, Israel, Gaza, and all of that. This is another very big important topic that people are covering. So let me hear what you guys think about this speech. If you have not listened to the whole speech, you might as well just search it on YouTube. I'm sure you will be able to find the whole speech on YouTube. Other people are pointing out how fun it was and how the playlist was so lit. People have so much of things to say. The Democratic National Convention. So let me hear what you guys think about it as well in the comment section. This person said the US enlisted chattel slavery to catch up with white Western European imperialism, and we use Israel now as the slave master of Africa. There are some people saying she did not particularly say she is standing with the people of Gaza and that the speech is not really clear and very direct. But let me hear what you guys, because that was the very first issue that the first speech was addressing, saying people want that to just be just straightforward, but she addressed it in a way that you can easily tell where she stands. Another person said Trump ramblings are nonsensical. He does not have the intelligence or intellectual capacity to say or talk about anything that has any meaning. This last person said the speaker at the DNC were fired whole week. Then Kamala came on and was simply presidential. Perfect convention. Let me hear what you guys think about this whole conversation. Let me hear what you think about what the people have been saying. Let's continue this conversation in the comment section, and I will see you guys in the next one.